Hello, students. This is Miss Mishu, and this is your net pay screencast. So we need to be able to figure out what our net pay is. Now, as you know, when you get your paycheck, you don't get to keep all of your money. That there are some required payroll deductions. So first of all, FICA, let's talk about that. That stands for Federal Insurance Contributions Act. It is another name for Social Security, which was created in 1935. And 6.2% is withdrawn for this. Now, Medicare is insurance for when you're retired. This was enacted 30 years after Social Security, and the percent withdrawn is 1.45%. So the amounts withdrawn for federal income tax and state income tax depends on how much money you make or your wages, your marital status, married or single, and the number of withholding allowances you claim. So these are the number of people that are financially dependent upon you. So we look these amounts up on the tax tables online. So the federal income tax table looks like this. You just need to make sure you go to the correct page, and the correct page is dependent upon whether you're paid weekly or biweekly. So page 11 is biweekly. And I'll show you how to look up the amounts on this. And then the main state income tax, by the way, it's landscape usually, but to flip it around, you hit the rotate clockwise and you'll get to see it. And this is on page 10. So those will be your payroll deductions. Now, as you know, by the end of January, you should receive a W-2 form from your employer that states how much money you made and then how much was withdrawn. Like, for example, this is for federal income tax. This is Social Security, Medicare, state income tax. So the W-2 you can use so that you can fill out your tax returns. Okay, so this is just an example of what it is for the year. So what I want you to do is get this assignment out. Should be posted on Google Classroom, Net Pay Assignment number 1. And we're going to go over how to figure out your gross pay and your net pay. So we're going to begin here, annual gross salary. So that says it up here. Assume that you earn Maine's average entry-level salary of $27,922. So you want to put that amount on number 1, $27,922, right there, okay? So the next thing is the biweekly gross pay. So being paid biweekly means you are paid every other week. So there are 52 weeks in a year, so if you divide that by 2, that would be 26 times. So the answer for number 2 is the answer to number 1 divided by 26. So 27,922 divided by 26 is this amount here. So let me just show you on the calculator before we move on. Okay, so $27,922 divided by 26, because that's biweekly. So your biweekly gross pay is $1,073.92. But as you know, you don't get to take all of that home. That's not your take home or your net pay because of taxes. So 6.2% of your income, it will be withdrawn for FICA, which is Social Security. So when you take a percent of a number, you multiply. So 1073.92 multiplied by 0.062. That's equal to $66.58. Okay, so that's the answer for FICA. Now let's take a look at Medicare. It's 1073.92 multiplied by 0.0145. It's $15.57. So that belongs here. Now, federal and state income tax you have to look up. So what we're going to do is click on the link for federal income tax. We need to look up your grossly amount, your biweekly gross amount, which was 1073. Okay, So remember that, 1073. So I'm going to go to the federal form. I'm going to go down to page 11 because this is for biweekly. We need to look up the income, 1073. And the single, which is this next to the last column. So 1073. So we're going to scroll down a little bit. 1073 is at least 1055, but less than 1075. So it's right in between those two sets of numbers. And the next to last column is for single. Okay, if you notice up at the top what these column headers are. Okay, it's at least but less than, and then the standard withholding. So that was $63. So that's what we put here. Now we need to do the same thing for state income tax. Look up 1073. So I'm going to go to that link. Once you get these sites, you want to make sure you bookmark them so you can go back to them easily. So claim one withholding allowance was a scenario. So you can claim yourself, and we're looking up 1073. Notice this is the single table. So 1073 is between 1060 and 1090. And one withholding allowance is $32. See how it says one? So it's the intersection of the wages and the number of withholding allowances. So we're going to go back to the form, fill in $32. Let's assume that your employer pays part of your health insurance and you pay the other part. So we're going to have that as a payroll deduction. And then your total deductions is you add up all of these other deductions. So you add up 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, these amounts here. All right, so when you do that, it's $325.30. Now, your biweekly net pay is your gross pay minus your deductions. So when I get the calculator out here, I'm going to clear it. And so your gross pay is $1073.92. We're going to subtract our deductions of $325.30. So our net pay biweekly is $748.62. So every other week you get that. Now we're going to be using these numbers for a budget, and budgets are usually based on a monthly timeline. So if you get paid every other week, most months you will have 2 biweekly paychecks. So I'm just going to multiply this by 2 to get the amount of money you'll have to work with in most months under that salary, which is $1,497.24. Now, as you can tell, folks, this is not a lot of money, and it will be very, very difficult to live independently on that amount of money. I mean, just think about it. Most rents are at least $1,500. So you'd have to work this out. But anyways, this is an introduction to net pay, and hopefully you learned something. Make sure you fill out the sheet and show your work where appropriate and submit for credit. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Thank you and have a wonderful day.